One of the very most popular platforms that we support is OpenStack. For OpenStack environments, we support both virtual environments protection as well the volumes if they reside in Ceph RBD way. Now here you can see that there is a dashboard. You can see 3 different areas that vProtect is able to protect. Their success rate, current staging space status, and I have one backup destination currently attached, but remember that vProtect supports multiple backup providers that you can use with to protect your OpenStack. Now the activity shows me some basic information about the backup and restore activity, and now in my environment let me show you how we can protect my instances in the OpenStack environment. In virtual environment section I have several instances already detected. So the very first step is actually in the infrastructure tab. I can add hypervisor manager, and my hypervisor manager actually is OpenStack keystone. Whenever you define OpenStack, you need to provide the URL, default project name. If it's not provided, it will just fall back to the default one. But the most important is the username and actually which method you would like to use to protect your OpenStack with. So we support 2 methods to protect. We can use either SSH transfer, which basically connects to your KVM hosts and grabs data directly from there. And usually you're going to have either QCOW2 based files that we can export or Ceph RBD based volumes. The export process obviously is going to be slightly different, because then data is going to be downloaded directly from the Ceph monitors. Now disk attachment method is slightly different. It is rather even more preferable if you have some physical storage with usual disk arrays, and everything happens over the Cinder API. The only exception is the incremental backup. We support incremental backup for Ceph RBD volumes, and we need to access Ceph monitors to do that, to fetch the changes that are between the snapshots that reside in your Ceph environment. Once you have added the hypervisor manager, you can initiate inventory synchronization process. This is typically the process where you detect, where vProtect can detect instances and options to add projects and clusters. Clusters actually mean in this case availability zones. So once the inventory synchronization process completes, notice that I have here in my tab currently running inventory synchronization process still, well, then I will have all of the instances with their disks visible in this instances tab. Now to initiate backup, I have one instance here actually residing in my Ceph environment. Notice that in my Ceph I also have several instances running. This is the one that I'm going to initiate backup now. And I can initiate backup. Let's do incremental one. Which corresponds to the task that has been submitted to the task console. Notice that I have export task already started. Export grabs data from the hypervisor manager, from the virtualization environment, and stores data in the staging space. So staging space is in step in the middle that needs to be completed. Once it completes, data is being pushed to the appropriate backup destination. In my case, my file system actually is shared together with the staging space, so the store task doesn't have to copy data again, so it is instant in my case. We also support synthetic backup provider, which helps you especially with the restore process. You can initiate forever incremental backups, and backups wouldn't need to be merged before data is imported back during the restore process. So this depends on the actual setup. Now inside the details of the VM, notice that I have some basic statistics. some backup size, backup time that took place in my environment. Each phase, obviously, you notice that it differs, so it can take longer or shorter depending on your storage, on your infrastructure. And at the bottom, notice that I have created several backups, full and incrementals. I have complete backup history in here. Snapshot that resides in here is used later for future incremental backups. My virtual machine is a small one. This is a serious image with volume attached. It is only 1 GB in size, and it has policy assigned with a daily backup schedule assigned as well. For OpenStack, you can also override the method per VM basis. If your setup only supports it, you can override it so that you can use disk attachment method instead of the one that is configured globally for the manager. I can also execute pre-post snapshot commands before and after a snapshot takes place, so you can quiet database, you can resume it after snapshot completes, especially important for the database backups, and this is executed over the SSH in this case, so it can basically virtually execute any arbitrary command. Whenever I would like to restore back the virtual machine, I can restore it back to the hypervisor manager. I can optionally restore it to the different OpenStack environment, or restore it to the node, to the file system on the node, so that I can just basically grab the files with the data and do whatever I need to do with these, let's say, QCOW2 files. In my case, I'm going to restore back this virtual machine to the original OpenStack environment. This also executes another task. It's restore one, and restore task in this case needs to merge the backups, but as I already mentioned, depending on the backup provider, this may also not be required, especially for synthetic backups. Now the data is imported. So with depending on the strategy, the actual import process obviously is going to be different. So with the disk attachment method, it would correspond to creating a new empty volumes, which later would be overridden with the data from the backup. With the SSH transfer, we transfer data back to the hypervisors. In this case, we have Ceph attached in here, so this one imports data back to the Ceph volume that has been created. Another option that is quite important for the administrator is actually option to restore individual files. So the third option here allows me to mount backup. Mounting backup actually means that I have I have three options. I can either mount file systems automatically to have the view of the virtual machine like it was actually running. So if I have a single root file system, I will have all of the nested file systems mounted automatically. And if I would like rather to mount a specific file system, I can use the manual mount or share drives over iSCSI. This option allows me to expose over iSCSI in specific block device and later allow remote clients to mount this volume to the virtual locally, so that they can browse the actual block device on the partition level. So especially useful actually for Windows clients, because file level restore, especially if you mount file systems on the Linux as we do, would not be enough for preserving Windows permissions. So mounting directly a block device over iSCSI would be very helpful in this case. In my case, I have already one backup mounted. I have this virtual machine mounted in automatic mode, so I see that it is already present in the on the node, and I can browse and restore individual files. So here I can go, let's say, and grab some small file directly with my browser. In the meantime, my virtual machine has already been imported, so now I can go to my instances in the OpenStack and notice that another virtual machine has just appeared. This one actually is running for 2 minutes now, and it has successfully booted. With vProtect you have additional options of recovery, especially useful if you would like to automate general daily operations. So backup SLAs allow you to automate the backup process. So you have policies and schedules, and based on that you can have specific virtual machines being protected at given intervals on the given days of week, and assign them automatically if needed based on the names. You can create both include and exclude rules based on the specific criteria. Snapshot SLAs, they allow you to create periodic snapshots on the virtual machines. While these are not supported for the OpenStack itself, these are supported for the Ceph RBD. So if you have underlying Ceph storage, then you can use it also. You can use snapshot SLAs to create periodic snapshots on your Ceph and volumes that you have. And finally, another third type of the policy is recovery plans. With recovery plans, you can schedule or execute manually set of rules. So inside the recovery plan you have a rule that describes that you need to have restores of individual virtual machines, optionally with some schedule, so they can be executed periodically or on demand, as I said, and you provide the parameters of your environments, especially that you need to specify that you would like, for instance, to overwrite test VM in order to periodically verify that your backups are correct. From the storage perspective, you can protect Ceph RBD directly, and storage provider in my case here, this one is Ceph RBD, is attached directly to my OpenStack environment. You also are able to directly invoke backups on individual volumes, assign their specific policies, and as I already mentioned earlier, snapshot SLAs if you wish to create periodic snapshots and leave just few of them in your environment. That concludes this short demo. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.